Bienvenue dans cette nouvelle capsule de la Minute CABEF Energy Hub dédiée à cette édition du CABEF 2024 à Libreville. Au Gabon, avec nous aujourd'hui, nous avons son Excellence Monsieur Gabriel Obiang Lima, Président du Comité des Partenariats Stratégiques du Financement du Central Africa Pipeline System. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
It's a pleasure for us to have you here.
A pleasure for me to be here.
So, how the exploitation of natural gas can reshape Central Africa's economy, serving as a driving force for economic integration and regional development?
Well, I think what we are trying to do is not reinvent the wheel. Meaning, we have seen like countries like the United States, countries, joint committee countries like the European Union, even China have developed their industrialization. And all of them really have done it through a pipeline system. Now, the way I have said in my presentation is the best way to say is that the numbers do not lie. If you look the number of pipelines that exist in France alone, it surpasses Nigeria, Egypt, and Pakistan together. Nigeria, Egypt, Pakistan, 500 million. France only 68. So this is why a country like France have a very strong industrialization, because through that infrastructure system, it can be able to provide utility with a very reliable price, affordable price, and continuous price. Now, one of the criteria that we have that it's going to be the key one for this is that we do have two parts very important: the producing and the consuming. Now, when we talk about producing, in our region in Central Africa, the majority of the countries produce oil and gas, and the majority of the countries actually produce minerals too. And clearly, when you have that combination, you already have a clear supplier that is already exporting the oil and gas that can actually redirect, rather than export it out of Central Africa, to import it in our own market to be able to sell it to that key market, that the mining. But to do that, you need to have a transportation. It's like if you have a car, you need a highway. You can have a nice car, you don't have a highway, you don't do. So clearly, the role of the CAPS is to create the highway, is to create an infrastructure vehicle that from one point you can supply the oil and gas or mineral to the final end user, and this in case is the mining.
Okay, talking about policies, it's true you've spoken about the USA and the way they've joined their forces to make great things. Do you think in Africa we can actually achieve that with our past and our actually policies?
Yeah, well, I think yes, we can do it. It's the same way that people have been asking about the African Union.
Yeah.
If Africa can unite, and through that perseverance and discussion can be done. I think the issue is communication. If you do not communicate well, what are you doing? You confuse people. And people, when they don't understand, immediately they reject. This is one of the critical things that the CAPS has been doing. And what we have done is communicate from the top bottom. We have started, like you have seen, with all the hero states. So there's very few hero states. I would say only two that I have not visited.
Okay.
All of them, if you say, do you know CAP, Excellency? They will say, yes. I know CAP. Minister, the Chairman Gabriel came here and explained it. You ask any ministers, they will say the same thing. Then that's my part as the macro. Then when it comes is the micro. Because when it comes into the micro, to be able to have a successful project, you have to have a well-planned project. You need to have a project that has been done correctly, the feasibility, the routing, the environmental study. Then from there, you have the pre-fit. Once you have the pre-fit, then you invest in the study. In the study, you'll be able to bring the technicians to be able to evaluate the direction. Once you finish the study, then you go into the construction planning. Once you finish the construction planning, you go into the production, the commissioning. So it is very important that a project to be able to be successful, you need to be well planned. And a lot of the projects that we have been failing in our continent is because it's not well planned. And that's one of the things that a lot of African countries were, is that we are not very good planning the project and executing the project. The biggest advantage that we have in these CAPS is that you have individuals like myself, like other ones, who have a lot of experience in oil and gas. And we understand how critical it is to have a good planning. And the good planning and a plan of action that can make sure that everybody understood. Now, as the critical thing, and this is why I insisted, saying it, I nailed it completely to the Excellency, the Presidents, the Minister, and everybody. We only have 5 years. We only have 5 years. The decarbonization worldwide, 2013, it will start stopping all the funding over. And if we do not get these projects on the first production of gas there by 2030, we will leave all our resources in the ground and we will be able to take it out. So clearly for me, it's a mission. I hope that we can be able to execute it. I'm very confident because what all the head of state and ministers are saying is that if this project is successful, it will change the two frequently crises that Africa have. The food crisis, energy crisis, and manufacturing crisis.
You just stepped out of a panel where you intervened to talk about the lessons you can get from the WAPS project to make it work on the CAPS project. What are the similarities between the two?
Well, first of all, the similarity is that first we need to do a pipeline. That's the only similarity. I think the difference is that we are going to provide that projects or that resources to the end users. Okay. Now, the WAPO was done from Nigeria all the way to Togo, Benin, and Ghana, only focusing on one resource, energy generating. That was the only objective in Asian WAP. Now, what we are doing is different. We are going to make sure that it provides for energy, it provides for refining, it provides for petrochemics, it provides for electricity, so it makes sure that you don't depend on only one resources. And that's the beauty of pipelines, because first, you can be able to supply higher amount of products, more reliable, less accident, but then also longer distance. So for us, WAPs like CAPCO are very good example because it is not rocket science. We already have people in the continent, in Cameroon and Chad, who already know how to do this. The only thing we need to do is to do a master plan. When we have a master plan and we get together all the presidents and all the ministers, we need to make sure that everybody agree. The master plan, that doesn't mean that the government will finance it. Because the first question that all the president and minister will say, Excellency Gabriel, $10 billion, it's a lot of money. And I say, Excellency, you will not pay $1. The only thing that countries do is make sure that they agree the regulation, make sure that they can actually put all the standardization. The rest is the private sector. And the only way that the private sector can come and is we develop clear and well-structured plan that is very clear. This is the supplier, this is the end user, and make sure that everybody benefits.
Thanks a lot, sir, for answering to our questions. It was a pleasure for us to have you.
That's all mine.